What a difference a week makes. Just Tuesday, Joe and Kevin and I were talking about how this short session is kind of turning out to be what they discussed, that it was going to be kind of peaceful and just not a whole lot going on, and then bombs started dropping. So I'll start with a couple of the bills that we've already discussed. House Bill 52, our mental health bill, this is good news. It has been assigned to a committee. I spoke with the committee chair on Thursday. He says he thinks it's a good bill. I've also contacted every member of that local government committee to make sure that we have their support. So that's looking good. We've got co-signers. However, the chair of local government did say that he has just a couple tweaks that he needs to sit down with Representative Banta, the bill sponsor, to work on. So I've got a phone call scheduled with Representative Banta tomorrow to see exactly what that is and where we are. But it is moving forward. So that's good. Now to some of the other House Bill 157 is the USAR bill. This is mixed. So last week we discussed it. It looked like we were told that this was just going to be more of an informational year and it would happen next year. Well, what is looking like is that they're going to try to go ahead and get it to pass this year so that they can set up the actual structure of it. And then next year they'll take care of the funding. See, this is a short session, so you can only do funding in the long session next year. And that's good. It is a good bill and certainly a good program that needs to go forward. However, the guys that put this bill together did not reach out to us or to any other stakeholders or groups that are experienced with running legislation. And there's some serious problems in that bill that we need to tweak. One is that as it's written right now, it allows that USAR team to discipline members. And certainly if one of our people from Louisville is out there in the USAR team, that USAR team has no right to discipline them. They can kick him off the team and send him or her back to Louisville. And if the Louisville decides to pursue some type of discipline based on his or her behavior as a member of that USAR team, that's well within their rights, but then they're protected by our contract, and certainly with other departments, it would be their contract or a Chapter 75 or Chapter 95 discipline procedure. But we can't have the USAR team involved in that. Another thing is that there were some questions about if a person is injured, they had them being covered by the state's workers' comp, which could come into some problems with collective bargaining agreements, with the city's insurance and the city's workers' comp, depending on what that person and where that person works. So just some tweaks we have to make, but it is a good bill, but we're going to be working on that. Comes up to our next kind of middle bill is Senate Bill 121. And this is a weird one. It's about moving the Fire Commission from KCTCS, where it's been, over to the Department of Homeland Security. We don't know why. It doesn't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And there aren't really any problems with the Fire Commission right now. In fact, it's thriving. It's doing really well. Has so many employees. They have so much property. Things are going pretty smoothly as far as we can see. And Homeland Security is not behind this. They're not the ones that are trying to grab it, and it's not a power play. Apparently, it's coming from the legislature. So we do have meetings set up on both Tuesday and Wednesday with the Senate sponsors to find out exactly where this is coming from and why. And again, we're not going to say that just because it's change, all change is bad. If this is the right thing to do, just show us why and explain to us why. And we need to understand it and demonstrate to us what's going on. The senators that we spoke with, it looks like they're not trying to speed up this bill and ram it through, so they're very open to sitting down with us. So we'll see where that stands. So there's another middle of the road. Which brings us to a couple of the attacks. Senate Bill 7, and there's a mirror in the House, House Bill 364. It's what they call their paycheck protection. Not really paycheck protection, though. It essentially makes it illegal to collect dues for any employer to collect dues if any of that dues money will be used for political activity. Now, as most of you already know, your dues money cannot be used for political activity, no direct political payments. Certainly that has to be separated into a PAC fund that an individual chooses to go above and beyond their regular union dues. So we have all those protections. We have all the other limitations that some of the past legislation has pushed on us. So we're not really sure where this is coming from. I have a friend that works with the Bluegrass Institute. I spoke with him when I saw this bill. That is kind of a conservative think tank that kind of pushes different legislation like this in different states. He mentioned that what they are wanted is the House version, which really only deals with state employees, not with any organizations that are city, county, etc. And certainly, any of the dues money that's coming out and going to any type of organization, labor organization, or any other, if we're choosing to do it, why should it be a problem? But anyway, this is another one we're hoping to get some meetings this week to try to push back against that. So keep up the relationship with your legislators. So if we do have to really start fighting this hard, that we can contact you so you can contact them and let them know where you stand on this. A couple other bills. The drop bill, the delayed retirement option plan. We finally got back the actuarial analysis on this, and it's not good. We don't necessarily agree. I think that the people at CERS, KPPA did not want to do this additional work. They didn't want to have to mess with a drop. And I think the actuaries kind of took their side and leaned it towards the absolute worst case scenario. They set it up as if every single member of CERS, the day that they hit their retirement eligibility, would enter into the drop. And so they said the worst case scenario would cost, a couple $100 million over the next 20 years. We don't believe that that is the fact, but we are not going to be able to push back against the legislature in this current climate. The PPOB, after we got our bill passed last year that improved retiree health care for the post-2003 people, I know it's not ideal, but it is a significant benefit enhancement. This really set a lot of them off, and they say there will be no more benefit enhancements, and they are certainly looking at this as a benefit enhancement because it costs money. Or at least they are saying that it costs a lot of money. We are not giving up on this, but we are going to have to back up and punt as far as kind of tweaking it to make sure that we can get something that is good, amenable to our people. They started pushing back with what's called a PLOP. It is a partial lump sum option. This actually used to exist about 15 years ago. They did away with it. That would mean that when you choose to retire, whatever your monthly benefit would be, you could take a lump sum of, say, $100,000 or something, and that would reduce your monthly benefit. So basically, you'd be paying yourself to get that plop, which you're kind of doing anyway by working those additional years if you did the drop. And there is the argument that you could kind of plan your own plop if you knew that, okay, my payments are about where I want it, but if I know I work 3 more years, it'll be more than I want, and I can take that lump sum and it'll reduce it. Yeah, but that puts a lot on us. We're not considering that a fair give and take. That is not another option. That's not some. If they want to make that as an option for our people, absolutely go for it. But we're not going to go fighting for it. We're going to still work on this drop, but it's looking like it's most likely not going to be able to happen this session. Takes us to a couple others that we're watching. House Bill 359 right now is a shell bill, deals with Chapter 75s. All that they've done so far is to add gender language in there. They do this when anytime they update bills, since bills from the 70s and 80s only say he, him, and her. I'm sorry, he and him. It never says her and she. So they kind of add that, but it's still just sitting there. So we don't know what that's going to look like. So we'll make sure that we keep an eye on that. And obviously we're watching a whole bunch of other bills, but those are kind of the key ones. If you have any questions, hit me up, call me, call Joe, call Kevin, text, email, whatever. Stay safe out there. Keep those relationships with your legislators so that we can be ready to push back if we need to, or to push for support if we need that. We'll see you.